Hey guys, I'm Kayla Fournier and welcome to Zay's Crochet and Macrame. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute halter top. You can wear this halter top at the beach as a bikini, or you can even just wear it as a regular top for almost any occasion in the summer. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a size small for this halter top, but I will also be telling you how you can make a different size to adjust to fit you or any size you're trying to make as well. Please help me out with a like on this video if it was helpful to you, and comment down below your thoughts on this pattern and if it was easy, medium, or hard for you to accomplish on your own. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet and macrame tutorials, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Zay's Crochet to stay the quickest updated on my latest patterns that I come out with. And if you post your halter top on Instagram, be sure to tag me because I love to see your guys' versions of my patterns and finished work. Alright guys, let's get on into the tutorial. For this tutorial, I will be using a size 3.25mm crochet hook, crafting scissors, and a yarn threading needle. The type of yarn I will be using is Cascade Yarn's Ultra Pima 100% Pima cotton yarn. This is my favorite yarn to use for most clothing items because it's nice and soft and comfortable, easy to wash. Here are the measurements in case you decide to use a different kind of cotton yarn. So go ahead and roll your yarn into a ball like so, and we will get started. So go ahead and take your yarn and your needle and make a slip knot. So to start off, we're going to chain 6. And then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the very first chain to form a circle. And then I'm going to chain 2 for our first row. We're going to do 10 half double crochets right into the center of the circle. Then we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first half double crochet stitch here. And that completes row 1. And as you can see back here, I just crocheted over my tail end, so I can just snip it right off, and then it's one less thing to sew in at the end. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 5. And then we're going to do a double crochet right into the next stitch. Chain 2 and double crochet into the next stitch. Chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to just repeat this pattern all the way around to finish the row. I'm now at the end of row 2, and I'm just going to slip stitch right into the beginning chain 5. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 2, and I'm going to do 3 half double crochets right into this chain 2 space. And then do a half double crochet into the top of the next double crochet stitch. and 3 half double crochets into the next chain 2 space. One half double crochet into the next stitch, 3 half double crochets into the next chain 2 space, and then we're going to repeat this all the way around to the end of the row. I've now ended row 3, and I'm going to end with a slip stitch right into the beginning of the first half double crochet. Now for row 4, I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to do a double crochet right back into that same stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1 and do 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1 and skip the next 3 stitches and work into the 4th stitch and do another 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 more double crochets right into the same stitch. Chain 1, skip the next 3 stitches and do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets into the 4th stitch. And continue to repeat the same pattern all the way to the end. I'm at the end of row 4. I've chained 1, and I'm just going to slip stitch into the beginning third chain here. And those chain 3s act as our first double crochet in that row. For row 5, I'm going to slip stitch back into the previous chain 1 space, and I'm going to chain 7. Then I'm going to skip over to the chain 1 space here and do a double crochet, chain 4, skip over to the next chain 1 space and do a double crochet, chain 4, skip over to the next chain 1 space and do a double crochet. And we're going to continue to repeat this all the way around to the end. I've now completed row 5, and I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain at the beginning, and those chain 3s act as our first double crochet in that row. For row 6, I'm going to chain 5, and then I'm going to do a double crochet back into that same stitch. Then chain 2, skip over to the next double crochet stitch here and do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and do a double crochet back into the same stitch. Then chain 2, skip over to the next double crochet stitch and do a double crochet, chain 2, and do a double crochet back into the same stitch. We're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. The first chain 3 there counts as our first double crochet. I'm at the end of row 6. I've chained 2, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the beginning 3rd chain. Now for row 7, I'm going to slip stitch into the next chain 2 space here, and I'm going to chain 9. I'm going to skip all the way over to the chain 2 space and do a double crochet in between those 2 double crochets. Then I'm going to chain 6, skip over to the chain 2 space and do a double crochet. Chain 6, skip over to the next chain 2 space with 1 double crochet, and repeat the same pattern all the way around. I'm at the end of row 7, and I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain here to complete the row. Now starting row 8, I'm going to slip stitch into this chain 6 space and chain 3. And then I'm going to do 5 double crochets into the same chain 6 space. And then I'm going to chain 3 and do 6 double crochets into the next chain 6 space. And our first chain 3 counted as our first double crochet. Then we're going to chain 4, skip over to the next chain 6 space and do a single crochet. Chain 4, skip to the next chain 6 space and do a single crochet. Chain 4 again, skip over to the next chain 6 space and do 6 double crochets. Chain 3, do 6 double crochets into the next chain 6 space. And then chain 4, single crochet into the chain 6 space, chain 4, single crochet into the next chain 6 space, and chain 4 again, and then do 6 double crochets into the next chain 6 space. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around so that we have 5 points to form a pentagon shape. I'm now at the end of row 8, and I've chained 4, and I'm going to slip stitch into the beginning 3rd chain here, which acts as our first double crochet. So as you can see, we have a pentagon shape here with 5 sides. It might seem a little floppy, but as we go on, it will smooth out. So now for row 9, I'm going to slip stitch all the way over to the chain 3 space. So slip stitch into the next 6 stitches over to the chain 3 space. And then I'm going to do one more slip stitch into this chain right here before the double crochet starts, so that there's a total of 7 slip stitches. Now we're going to chain 3, and I'm going to do 1 double crochet into each stitch till we get to the next corner of this round. So I've double crocheted into each stitch, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets into each of these chain 4 spaces. So 3 double crochets, and then I'm going to skip over to the next chain 4 space and do 3 double crochets. Skip over to the next chain 4 space and do 3 more double crochets. And then 1 double crochet into each stitch till we get to the next chain 3 space. So you should have a total of 21 double crochets, and now we're going to increase in the chain 3 space. So do 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets into the same chain 3 space. Then we're going to continue to do a double crochet into each stitch as we get to the next chain 3 space corner. Just like we did here. Do a double crochet in each stitch, 3 double crochets into each of the chain 4 spaces here till we get to the corner. I'm at the end of row 9. I've ended with 1 double crochet into the last chain 3 space. Now we're going to chain 3, turn our work around, double crochet into each stitch till we get to the increase. And this is our 10th row. So double crochet your way into each stitch. So go all the way to the chain 1 space here. Okay, I'm at the chain 1 space, and I'm going to do another increase by doing 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets right into that same chain 1 space. And then we're going to continue to do 1 double crochet into each stitch till we get to the end of row 10. And when you're at the end of this row, you're going to end with a double crochet at the beginning of the 3rd chain right there. I'm at the end of row 10. I ended with a double crochet on that chain 3 there, and then I'm going to chain 3 again, turn my work around, and do 1 double crochet into each stitch across. Now in that row 9, the first chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, but as we go on, we're not going to continue doing it that way. And for the next 8 rows, we're going to continue to do the same pattern with the increase at the chain 1 space, ending here at the double crochet for the next 8 rows. So I've completed my next 8 rows, and this is what your work should look like. So you should have a total of 10 rows after you have finished the pentagon. So this is going to be a size small, so you can keep going and keep increasing, doing the same pattern until you get the length that you want. So if you want a larger size, you could do like 5 more rows, 10 more rows, depending on how large you want it. So now I'm actually on row 19, and I've completed it halfway the same way I did for the past 10 rows. So now we're going to be decreasing on each side to finish the sides of the top. So I've stopped right here before the last 2 double crochets there. So we're going to skip those 2 double crochets and do a double crochet into that chain 1 space for a decrease. Now chain 3, turn your work around, and we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and double crochet into the 3rd stitch. And then do 1 double crochet into each stitch till we get to the end of this row, continuing it all the way to here. And then you're going to chain 3, turn your work around, double crochet into every stitch till you get to the end here, skip the last 2 stitches and double crochet into the chain 3 space. So continue decreasing for the next 19 rows till you get down to only 12 double crochets. And there will be a total of 20 decrease rows. So I've now ended on my 38th row, doing a decrease for each round for a total of 20 decrease rows. Now if you're doing a larger size top, of course you're going to have more rows of decreasing, but just keep decreasing till you get down to only 12 double crochet stitches left. Now for row 39 and so on, we're going to be decreasing at the beginning and the end, not just one side. So each side we will be decreasing 2 stitches. So chain 3, turn your work around, skip the next 2 stitches and double crochet into the 3rd stitch. And then double crochet across until you get down to the last 2 stitches. So I double crocheted into each stitch. Now I have 2 stitches left, and I'm going to double crochet into the chain 3 space. Then chain 3 again, turn your work around on row 40, and then skip the first 2 stitches, double crochet into each stitch, skip the last 2 stitches, double crochet into the chain 3 space. Chain 3, turn your work around, skip the next 2 stitches, double crochet into the 3rd stitch, skip the next 2 stitches, double crochet into the 3rd chain 3 space. Chain 3, turn your work around, skip over those 2 stitches, and just end with a double crochet into the chain 3 space here. So I've decreased on 5 rows on each side, and that ends us on our 43rd row. So as you can see here, we've decreased on each side here so that there is a flat side here. And these holes are going to be where the tie strings go on when our top is completed. Okay, so put your hook back in. We're going to cast off here, cut off your yarn. I'm going to tie a knot to make sure my yarn is secured. So now we're going to do the same exact thing on this side as well. So here you can see that this is the back side of the row of double crochets, and over here is the front. So we want to make sure that we start on the back row so that it's even as it goes back and forth. So I'm starting at the bottom here, working my way up. So I'm going to go right into that chain 1 space where the increase is. And I'm going to slip stitch right into that chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 3, and then skip the next 2 stitches, crochet, double crochet into the 3rd stitch, and double crochet into each stitch all the way to the end. And just continue to repeat the same process as the other side, the exact same way. Okay, so I've now completed both sides of my halter top. They are nice and even with the same length. So when you do the second side, don't cast off. We're going to continue on from there. So we're going to work along the side here with single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work around, and do 2 single crochets into each chain 3 space for a total of 9 single crochets. And then ending with our 9th one right here. And then we're going to work our way up the sides. Working our way up to here, we're going to be doing half double crochets. I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do 2 half double crochets along each of the double crochet stitches, working my way up. So 1 half double crochet, 2nd half double crochet, just working along till we get to the top. So as you can see, there's 2 along each row of the double crochets here. I'm going to work up to here, and then I'll show you how to go up there. Okay, so I have worked all the way up to my pentagon with half double crochets. I'm going to do 2 half double crochets into this chain 3 space, and 1 half double crochet into each stitch along. And then I'm going to do 3 half double crochets into each of the chain 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, skip over to the next chain 3 space and do, chain 4 space and do 3, and then 1 half double crochet into each stitch along till we get to the top corner. So I've ended with 2 half double crochets into the chain 3 space there, right up to the corner. So for the next row, we're going to turn our work around and chain 3. Then I'm going to skip the first 2 stitches and half double crochet into the 3rd stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, half double crochet into the 2nd stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, half double crochet into the 2nd stitch. So we're going to repeat this pattern, working our way all the way up to the end. Okay, so I've made it to the end here. And then we're going to turn our work around, and we're going to be doing peacocks along the side. So I'm going to slip stitch into this next chain 1 space here, and do my peacock by chaining 3, and slip stitching back into the same chain 1 space. Slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, slip stitch into the next stitch and do a peacock, and that's right in a chain 1 space. So chain 3, slip stitch back into the same stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch, slip stitch into the next chain 1 space, and then slip stitch into the next stitch and do a peacock. Slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, slip stitch into the 3rd stitch, and do a peacock. So we're going to repeat this same pattern to the end of the row, doing 2 slip stitches and a peacock slip stitch into the 3rd stitch, working our way up here. Okay, I've made my way to the end, and I've done my last peacock right here into the chain 3 space, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next chain following it up right here, and that will officially complete that row. So now we're going to make the straps by chaining 300. And once we've done our 300 chains, we're going to be slip stitching our way back down each stitch here, each chain here, all the way back down. Alright, I've done my 300 chains for my tie string strap. I've slip stitched my way back down each chain. And now I'm going to end by slip stitching right into this half double crochet stitch here. And that completes our first string strap. We're going to cut our yarn and cast off. Tie a knot to secure it. Okay, so this is what your work should look like so far. We've done 1/2 side with our lace peacocks and our strap. And we're going to just repeating the same thing on the other side. So we're going to be starting from the top corner here, doing our half double crochets, working our way down. So do a slip knot and cast on your yarn again. Go ahead and slip stitch right into the chain 3 space here. Chain 2, and do a half double crochet into the chain 3 space, and 1/2 double crochet into each stitch back down, repeating the same process that we did over here, doing the exact same thing as those 3 rows until we get down to this corner here. Alright, this is what your top should look like so far, and this is where you should be at in the process. So I've worked my way down to here, and then I did my 9 single crochets right down the side here like I did on the other end. So I'm just going to continue here where I left off. And then we're going to be working along the bottom of the crop top here. I'm going to chain 3. And do a double crochet back into this chain 3 space. Do a second double crochet into the same space. And then I'm going to do a picot, and I'm going to chain 3, slip stitch back into the top of the double crochet stitch here. And do 2 more half double crochets into that same chain 3 space. And then I'm going to skip right over to the next chain 3 space and do a slip stitch. And then do 2 double crochets into the next chain 3 space. Do a picot into the top of the double crochet and slip stitch. 2 more double crochets back into that same chain 3 space. Slip stitch into the next chain 3 space. 2 double crochets into the next chain 3 space. And do a picot. Slip stitch back into the top of the double crochet. 2 more double crochets back into that same chain 3 space. We're going to repeat that same pattern going all the way along the bottom of our crop top here. Going all the way to here. Alright, I've made it to the end here. I've ended right here at this single crochet, and I'm going to cut my yarn and cast off. Tie a knot to secure the yarn. Alright, so now we're going to do our second strap here. Just the same way as we did on the other side. So slip knot, put your yarn on your hook, so I'm going to slip stitch right at this half double crochet stitch here. And then do 300 chains just like we did on the other side. And then slip stitch your way back down once you've done the 300 chains, and slip stitch right into this chain 3 space here before the picot. And then when you're done, you're going to cast off and your work will be complete. Alright, I've now completed my work. I sewed in all my loose ends with my needle, and this is what your beautiful, gorgeous halter top should be looking like. So the tie straps go around the neck, crisscross them over here to make an X, and then you're going to weave them through these stitches here on the sides. So coming out through this corner piece here and right over here at the last corner piece. Crisscrossing them and tying them to tie it onto yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video if it was useful to you, and comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this pattern and how yours came out. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more crochet and macrame tutorials, and follow me on Instagram at Zay's Crochet. And feel free to tag me in your finished work if you post it on Instagram, because I love seeing your guys' versions of the clothing that I make. It is so nice to see you guys create your own. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching.